It's time for the insane, the honest, and the profane with your host, Brandon Combs.
Jed Hoyer has been a coward as a GM. Doesn't go out and he doesn't make the big splash signings. He doesn't spend the money in the right places. But then I don't let Craig Counsell off the hook because, yes, did he get put in a bad spot with this rotation by Jed Hoyer? Absolutely. But then you didn't put those guys that you did have in a position to succeed in the playoffs.
And Ryan Fitzgibbons.
I mean, if he's just as good as Justin Fields, it's probably the worst draft pick in the history of Bears football. It probably is. And one of the worst draft picks in the history of the NFL.
It's Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk, right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
And welcome to Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. It's your boy, Brandon Combs, along with my guy, Ryan Fitzgibbons. Fitzy, look, no football this week. There's nothing to prepare for. We don't have to worry about what the Bears are going to do on the field, who they're playing. Can Caleb continue to bring guys back? Can we continue to win games in the fourth quarter? We don't have to worry about any of that anymore. All we have to worry about now is how are they going to improve the team? What holes are they going to fill? How much money are they going to spend? What trades are they going to make? Who are they releasing? Who are they drafting? All that other fun stuff. Look, man, the end of football season for some signifies, a little bit of mourning for the next 6 months until we get football back. For me, it signifies the beginning of the baseball season. Warm weather, as it's 60 degrees out here in Chicago right now. It's gorgeous out right now.
Yes, I got the window open right here.
Yeah. It's so much fun. So for me, it's a lot more fun. The Olympics have been fun. I've been following a lot of stuff in that. I got a couple of crazy stories from the Olympics that I want to run by you that I'm not sure if you've heard, but they're interesting, including a fugitive being found in entering the stadium. Yeah.
Good times.
Interesting. So
There's a word for it. It's one word.
Yeah. What's on your mind? What do you want to get to? You said you had some things you wanted to talk about.
First, I do want to say I was right about the Super Bowl. And if you remember what I said about the Super Bowl, it's this.
I'll give you a winter prediction. It's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, and it's going to last you for the rest of your life.
Felt like it was going to last the rest of my life. Because it's very boring. Two teams,
Yes.
One team, very good. Other team probably shouldn't have been there. Same thing happened last year in the Super Bowl, but just wanted to close the loop on that. And if we may kind of swivel a little bit, bad transition to Kalshi, which is a prediction market app. It's been out since 2017, I think. So it can do prediction markets. Let's say when a company's going to go public, how high their stock price is going to go. I know you can do that in the stock market, but you can also do that on Kalshi now. There's a couple other apps like this. You can do some variation of this on DraftKings, but not as much. BetMGM, but not like this. You could also do deep prop betting, and it's weird. That's how we ended the show last week. Was Doubting Thomas saying, I don't do prop bets, and then you making fun of Doubting Thomas. Now, you weren't talking about prop bets like this, like how long the halftime show is going to be, like deep stuff, like is Lady Gaga going to sing? There's people that know about this. So there's a video that's gone viral about Kalshi and about how there's insider trading going on. And I want to play the bulk of it because it has gone viral and it's about sports. And then I'll tell you where I'm going with all of this. You already know, but let me just start with the video because it's pretty interesting.
Before you place any prediction market bets on the Super Bowl, take a look at this chart that compares how much people lost on prediction markets versus traditional gambling. It shows something pretty shocking. People lose more in the first 3 months trading on prediction markets than they do on traditional gambling by a lot. Another analysis last year showed 70% of people lost money on prediction markets and less than 0.04% of traders captured the vast majority of the profit. If prediction markets are are a truth machine, as executives suggest, and more accurate than polls. What's going on here? Well, consider this bet on Kalshi about how long the Super Bowl halftime show will last this year. Maybe you think about some other halftime shows you've seen, and you decide to make a bet that it'll be at least 13 minutes. But there's a difference here with traditional gambling. You're not gambling against the house in this case. You're gambling against other people who disagree with you. The thing is, there's lots of people out there who know how long the halftime show will last this year. They've been in rehearsals for weeks. Stagehands, performers, support staff. People trading on prediction markets are getting fleeced by professional traders and people working with insider information. There are tons of examples of this. A brand new account on Polymarket made $400,000 by placing a bet predicting that Maduro would be removed from office just hours before he was captured by the Trump administration. Someone who really looked like a Google insider.
It starts getting politics there, and you could even, go on the politics side, which gets even scary.
Yeah.
But my main argument with this is, and I told you before the show, we used to joke about this back in 23 when we first started the show, and I have to give you credit because you're the one that spearheaded a lot of this conspiracy theory, and that's when I took this picture.
Right.
Put it in our media. It stayed in our media. And anytime someone has some kind of crazy theory, because sports people have crazy theories, we put up the Weird Al Yankovic in a tinfoil hat. There is no more tinfoil hat when it comes to what's happening in sports and the kind of bets you can do on different parts of sports. Like, you can really tell me almost anything right now and have any kind of conspiracy about how games are being played, about what's happening around the games. Roman Miller, hello. Hi, love.
We got a lot of people saying hello and just K.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, this is a big problem. And why is it such a big problem? Well, this week, or in the coming week, or the last couple of weeks, Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, one of the best players in the NBA, might have gotten traded. $23 million went through Kalshi, predicting where he would get traded. Is he going to the Knicks? Is he going there? Is he going here? He stayed with the Milwaukee Bucks. So there was never anything really going on or going to happen. Even worse, Giannis just invested millions of dollars into what company? Kalshi. I mean, this is the sport basketball that just had what I think is the biggest gambling sting since the Black Sox. Since the White Sox, my team, the White Sox, since then in sports history. I mean, we're talking about coaches and players shaving points because of how betting is constantly evolving, and this is the next evolution, which is Kalshi. Kalshi took in over $1 billion for the Super Bowl, by the way.
Yeah,
took in over $1 billion. So Adam Silver had something to say about Giannis's investment in Kalshi, and you won't be surprised to learn that he thinks it's a nothing burger.
In the case of Giannis, from what I understand, it's a minuscule investment, much smaller than 1%. So that does not violate the rules that have been collectively bargained with the Players Association. I mean, obviously, it's an issue that I'm paying enormous amount of attention to. It's rapid.
You don't have to listen to a lot of that. You can already see that he's, trying to, use subterfuge to get around the actual facts of it. I mean, how could you watch sport? My question to you, Combs, because you're the one that started all this conversation years ago. How do we look at sports and say that we're looking at something that's real? I mean, how could we do that when millions and now billions of dollars are flowing through these companies? And how do you know?
It's funny because when we talked about this, this is basically when we first started the show, is because there's stuff that I've looked at in the past, especially with football, which is when you start looking at calls late in games that you're like, what the hell was that call? Why was that? Like, what are they looking at? What is this call? What is that call? When you looked at the money and what side of the money was on, 99.9% of the time, the call would favor Vegas, and it would favor the money going back to the house. And I've always said that it would be too hard to get coaches and players in the NFL to be in a conspiracy the same way that you've done it in the NBA. It's a little bit easier in the NBA, smaller rosters, more one player can affect a game more than he can in the NFL, that type of stuff. But you start looking at the numbers and you start looking at where they're at. Now, we've talked about this on BetMGM tonight a couple of times, like the predictive markets and how
Polymarket's another one.
Yeah.
He's one. Polymarket's another one. Polymarket almost made $1 billion on the Super Bowl.
They're impossible to regulate because you're betting against other people betting. And when you have so many people that have access to this. Now, look, in the NBA, I do know this for a fact because when I worked for the G League, the Windy City Bulls, we have to sign a disclosure that we do not bet on the NBA. You cannot bet on basketball while you are an employee. So you're running the scoreboard, working the scorers table. If you are an announcer, if you're just in part of mopping the floors, you cannot bet on the NBA. You have to sign an agreement that you do not bet on the NBA because you have access to information. You will hear things that a lot of other people who bet will never hear. You'll hear things on the court. You'll hear conversation with coaches. You'll hear conversations with trainers. You'll hear all of this other stuff. You're not allowed to place bets on that, and you have to sign an agreement to not do so. And if you are found to do so, it's a hefty fine, and it includes jail time. So I don't know how this works with the NFL and with Super Bowl employees and all of this other stuff, but these markets here are impossible to regulate. How can if I've got 400 people that are doing the Super Bowl halftime show, and you got all of these numbers, all of the money that is going in on the Super Bowl with all of these other prop bets, halftime show. I mean, coin toss is kind of hard. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance. But the length of the halftime show, the length of the national anthem, if you hang outside of the stadium and listen to practice, you could find out how long the national anthem is going to be.
Yeah.
And so,
or there was one bet on streakers.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a streaker? Can't you just pay a guy to be a streaker?
If you saw the story of that, the guy who did it actually bet on himself to be the streaker. And by the time that after paying for his tickets, paying for his room, paying for his weekend, and paying for the fine and getting out of jail, he still made $20,000.
There you go. If you don't mind having that on your, you can always get something like that, I'm sure, expunged. But if you don't mind having that on your record, it's also
easy to explain.
And what's the big deal out of it? Well, they have these advertisements now all over social media, and they're just hijacking your brain. They're calling people up now who are big bettors to bet more on Kalshi, and then you have an actual athlete who invests in basically a casino, and worse than a casino, because at least at the casino they're comping you tickets. You know that when you pull that slot, you're going to be losing money. You know when you go up to the blackjack table, you're losing money. But you go to these Kalshi sites, you're basically being sucked into them. And we do have this like thing in America, for lack of a better term, thing where we think just because we have a choice that this isn't wrong. Oh, you have a choice whether you go on that or not.
Is that still a problem, though, for you with the players doing it, since the league and teams are affiliated with these casinos? You see it all the time, like the Chicago Bulls pregame show presented by Circus Sports. You've got teams that are aligned with these leagues. So why not? Why shouldn't the players align themselves with that? I mean, they're allowed to take on investments. We don't have a problem with them investing in Nike. We don't have a problem with them investing in Reebok and then wearing the shoe. why, you know what, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I hear what you're saying and I agree with you. It's going to be a huge problem, and eventually we're going to have a spot where maybe the NBA even gets shut down. College basketball is having a huge problem with it now too.
Yeah.
So
They were in that investigation as well.
but can we tell
Duke being
players
one of
not?
the teams.
But yeah, but how do you tell players you can't invest in something that the teams are investing in?
Very easy. Just nobody it gets to invest in and when they started letting gambling become a part of these games, that's why they never had a team in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Corruption, you can't just say, "Oh, we're going to put a dam here." There's going to be no corruption beyond this dam. We're not going to do it. It doesn't work that way.
But it's also
It's
more
just like a
regulated
drug.
now. Like that's
It's
why
just
the
like a
NBA
drug.
got caught, is because there's a paper trail now. There wasn't a paper trail before.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, they didn't know. I mean, these weren't guys, and these guys like Rozier was a good basketball player. We're talking about a
Yeah.
guy who averaged 20 points a game.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups is a Hall of Famer, and yeah, he wasn't in. Well, at least he wasn't caught shaving any points.
Mhm.
But it all trickles down. If you have a backup left tackle of this, the Los Angeles Chargers, because they lost their left tackle this year, who lets him, making $500,000 a year. You think he ain't going to want to make $100,000 off of just letting a guy sack Justin Herbert once?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he makes $100,000. He's probably never going to see that money again. I mean, he might not ever be in the NFL again. I mean, that's the thing with these prop bets, and I'm betting on everything. To me, it's hard for me to look at a game now and be like, I know for sure that game is 100% real.
Well,
and that's the problem. That even affects our culture. We have our kids watching these games and going, is any of this real?
We had that question earlier in the year with, arguably probably not even arguably, the most notoriable name in the game in LeBron James, who had a streak of like 1,200 straight games with 10 points in a game. And then a lot of people lost a lot of money. One bettor even lost $15,000 on the bet for him to hit the 10 points again. And he only scored 8 points in that game.
Yeah, and wasn't his trainer a part of the whole scandal,
Yes.
the whole mob scandal?
Yes.
It's like now, you're giving like that, and that's what happens. Now all these criminal elements are injected into these sports too, because that's how corruption do it. It attracts these criminal elements, and you got the mob, you're breathing air into one of the biggest organized crime syndicates in the history of the world. I mean, you're actually breathing fresh air into it. I know this isn't something that people really want to talk about, but to me, this will be the biggest story in sports. There is going to be more stories that are going to break because of this. And you mentioned football. I cannot believe that something hasn't come out with football yet. I am shocked. There has got to be something. There's got to be bodies underneath Roger Goodell's, porch in his backyard. I mean, there is something. How is football not tainted with this? How? And baseball, or then talk about the best player in basketball, or used to be the best player in basketball, Shohei Ohtani's translator. Come on.
Look,
Shohei Ohtani wasn't gambling.
I'm with you. And I think that this has been a problem for a long time. It's been a problem since, the early 1900s with the Black Sox scandal. I don't think it ever went away. I think that after stuff like that gets caught, they find new ways around it. They find new ways to go about it. And this predictive market thing, if you are putting money into it, and look, I'm a sports bettor. I have a few sports betting accounts. I do, I work for the BetMGM network, so I deal with sports gambling on a daily basis. I do not have a predictive market account because there's not enough there for me to go there and be like, Yeah, I can see where this is going. Because I just don't trust it. And it's getting to a point now where I almost don't trust the books themselves,
Yeah.
especially in the NBA, especially in college basketball. I very rarely will I put money down on the NBA anymore. Very rarely will I put money down on college basketball
Yeah.
anymore because I just don't know what player is on the up and up. I don't know what team is on the up and up. I don't know if the league is on the up and up. So I take it in a different direction, and I'll find different ways to bet on different things, bet on baseball, bet on football, different things that I can bet on that I don't think, and it could all be to the point where it's just, you're just designed to lose at some point anyway, right? Like I'll win bets here and there. I've won some big parlays here and there, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably down throughout the course of my betting life, right? Like,
Yeah.
so luckily I don't make enough money to
0.04%.
yeah, at least I
And
don't make
well,
enough money to be putting down hundreds of dollars on each bet. I'm betting $5 here, $10 there. So they're not making a ton of money off of me. But if I was making enough money to put $100 down on each bet or $1,000 down on each bet, like you could make some serious money off of people. Like there are some times where you look at things where you've looked at things. I mean, hell, in the NFL this year, we talk about parity. Is it really parody? I mean, how do we know? How do we know it's not parody? How do we know it's
yeah.
just like, hey, the NFL, hey, we got to flip this thing upside down this year. We need to make some money.
Yeah.
Like we don't know that. And as sports fans, as people who consume the products, as people who love the products, we just choose to look past it 98% of the time and just run with it. And if you're a
And,
sports
and
bettor, you have to start looking at these things. If you're a fan of the games, you have to start looking at these things as, man, I don't know. I don't know if I could trust anybody. I
and
don't
pe-
know.
and people can come on and say, "Oh no, 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 they're not hijacking our brains." 0.04% is taking in the biggest chunk of the money on Kelce. 0.04%.
Mm,
How is there $1 billion coming into an app like this? If they're
yeah.
not on social media, if they're not enticing you to do these things through just
Yeah.
ridiculous
Oh,
tactics.
Kelsey's
And
everywhere right
plus,
now.
why are we looking at a TikTok video or a short on YouTube that went viral with all this information? Why aren't we seeing this on Sports Center? Why
Yeah.
aren't we seeing this on other sports shows?
Well,
We don't. They
they
glossed
promote
over
it.
it. You
Yeah.
got yeah. You got Stephen A. Smith going, "Oh, this is nothing with basketball. They planned this story. It's about it's this new administration. It's a Trump administration. They plan it 'cause they don't like basketball." It's like, what?
Yeah.
This happened, dude. They're caught red-handed, man. It's got
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. You're right, because they're getting paid by it, and you got guys in their basement breaking these stories. Who's the
Yeah.
guy's name? Torres or
Pablo
uh,
Torre.
Pablo
Yeah.
Torres? Yes, he worked at ESPN, but he's breaking stories from his damn basement. He's on the
Yeah.
biggest shows in the world. Like
Well,
there's
that's the
something
thing is
going
the
on
people
here.
that don't care, that don't have any affiliation to the networks that are going to be the guys that are honest with you. Guys like you and me, guys like Pablo Torre, guys
Yeah,
that are out there that they don't care about offending an owner or offending a GM, because what we want is we want our sports, we want to consume it, and we want there to be an honest product. ESPN isn't going to say it because the very next thing after they degrade Kalshi and tell you that Kalshi could be a problem and Kalshi could be a scam and Kalshi could be fixed is they go to commercial break and there's a Kalshi commercial. So that's why they'll never do it. That's why they'll never tell you, oh, this is this. They have a contract with the NBA, which is why you're going to hear guys like Stephen A. Smith sit there and say, "Oh, this isn't the league. This is this entity or this entity that is coming in, and they're just they want to put this probe on the NBA." No, it's because you've got things that are going on that aren't legit, and you've got people putting their hard-earned money into it. Look, we all know. I mean, I've said it time and time again. I've put it out there when people talk to me about politics, which I hate politics. I think both sides suck. But when you look at your money, you think about it as a whole. one of the things that sometimes I get some slack for, sometimes I get shut down for. Hell, I've gotten hit on YouTube for it, for saying, slavery never ended. It evolved. They give us all, more freedom and more, they give us these phones and they give us all this technology and, all of this stuff, but you have a 40-hour work week in which you work to make your money. And then they tax you on your money and they take your money back. So now your money goes back to the 1%. And then what do you do with the money that you have left over? You go to sporting events, you go on vacation, you take a flight, you go to these resorts. Who owns all of this stuff? The 1%, the same people that just paid you your money, you're giving them their money back. So in the end, the 1%, the people that own your life are getting their money back. Yes, they give it to you, but it all goes back to them in the end. It's the greatest scam of all time is the 40-hour work week. It just is. And you've got companies that don't take care of their employees. You've got companies that don't care about their employees. It's just next man up. You've got companies out there that just want to hey, let's see how far we can take this guy before he breaks, and then we'll bring another guy in for the same amount of money until he breaks,
Or less
and we'll
money.
do the same thing.
Usually less money.
Absolutely. So you get you get the
Ron Jeremy. This is
wow
profile picture. Doubting Thomas, total marriages, Combs and Fitz. Over under 5.5 on Kelce right now.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Looks
we're
like someone
already
made a
at
bet already on
at
Kelce.
4 between the two of us.
This is supposed to deter people from Kelce,
Yeah.
Doubting Thomas, not have
Yeah.
people actually go on to Kelce and make bets. But thank you very much, sir.
Exactly. So, there are things that you can do within the sport to regulate this. I just don't know how at this point you can. With the access that everybody has to this, I don't know how you can. I don't know how you're going to stop trainers. And I don't know
Thousands
how
of people.
Yeah.
You know how these teams travel? Not with thousands, but hundreds of people.
Yeah. And how do you stop like the guy who's working in sales for the team from placing?
Yeah, there you go. We didn't even talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got employees all over these teams, and I understand. Yes, they sign waivers and they do all these things, but if I have a chance, me personally, if I hear today, and I'm doing an interview with, let's say Nick Friedel, right? Who's on my show every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Check it out. If I'm talking with Nick Friedel and he gives me off air, he's like, "Hey, just so you know, the Rockets tonight, they're sitting this guy, and this guy." Damn. All right. Well, maybe if I drop the bank for them to lose tonight, I could really help myself in the future.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to not do that. And when you've got hundreds of people, thousands of people across the country working with these teams doing the same thing, how many of them do you believe have a good enough conscience and a good enough willpower to not take that out?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here working for $17 an hour. You don't think I could stand to make fucking $100,000 tonight?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I could. So
you're basically making people. It's like Adam Carolla has said for years. If you ever listen to Adam Carolla, who's hilarious, if you find a wallet on the ground and the wallet has money in it, and it's a guy's picture is in there and his kid's pictures in there, most people are gonna bring that to the lost and found. If it's like $200 in there. If you find $200 on the ground, you're not bringing that to a lost and found. You're not. You're taking that money, you're putting it in your pocket. It's creating a culture of corruption. That's when you make systems this widespread that are this corruptible, you're just creating an environment for people to be corrupted. You are. And then these people who would never do a criminal act before are doing criminal acts. That's what they're doing. Like a Terry Rozier, like a Chauncey Billups. You would never think that a Chauncey Billups, a guy who,
who made millions of dollars in the league.
Yeah, who could run a track. I mean, we're talking about a guy
Yeah.
who was so physically in shape. It was unbelievable. Him and Rip Hamilton,
Yeah.
they would outrun people. They were not better than anybody else. We're talking about an effort guy. We're not talking about a guy who won on his talents. Like,
That's what
we're
makes
talking
some
about a
of
good
this so
story.
confusing, right? Because you're
Yeah.
talking about guys who are making millions of dollars selling out for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Like
Yeah.
you look at the Emmanuel Clase thing in Major League Baseball, right? Because baseball's
Even
not.
crazier.
I mean, for a couple of hundred thousands of dollars, like. And this guy made millions. I mean, you're not talking about like a guy like me or a guy like you who might make 6 figures, 5 figures, whatever the case is. If I'm only making $60,000 a year and you give me a chance to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, sure. But these are guys who are making millions and millions of dollars doing this for a couple extra 100,000. That's where it becomes, to me, I'm like, man, what are we doing, right? Like we talk about it all the time with these athletes, with the domestic violence and the sexual assaults, and we talk
Or
about
just
like
DUIs.
what are you thinking with all the money you make? You go do whatever that, like, why do you waste your time with this? Why do you This is even on a slightly smaller scale than that, right? Because I'm not talking about whoever. Let's take Tyreek Hill into account. I'm not talking about a scumbag like Tyreek Hill who's impregnating the 15th woman this year, or hitting another woman, or beating this woman. I'm talking about a guy who makes millions of dollars, giving it all away for a couple of pennies on the dollar, per se.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's when you know you don't touch that with logic. That's when you know that's just an illness. That's just an illness, a mental illness.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be logical. It's the same thing as somebody who's morbidly obese and they have to cut them out of their house. And you ask, why do they go to the pantry every other hour and eat another bag of potato chips like that?
Yeah.
It's a mental illness. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. And yeah, I don't know how the toothpaste goes back in the tube here. I really don't. I didn't want to talk about this for 32 minutes today, but I mean,
That's where we're
I
at.
don't see a bigger story in sports right now. I just don't. I really don't.
I
Because
don't
it's
know.
every sport.
I don't know that there is a bigger story in sports, but let me
That's being
try
ignored.
to
Yeah.
divert the attention.
Let's do it.
We call transition.
Hold on.
let's-
Worst transitions.
Trying to be a professional.
Transitions in the world. But it is a podcast, so we can just start talking.
Let's talk about another story that's hyped. So there was a story in the Athletic, and I don't know if you saw it, but that story, and I'm actually trying to pull it up right now as I talk to you guys. That story from the Athletic, right, is there is a world where the owners are going to ask, with the collective bargaining agreement being up this year at the end of the year in baseball, and I've been on record for the last, I don't know how long I've been saying, if it's 2027, we're going to miss an
Yes.
entire season of
Couple
baseball.
years. And
They're
I've
going
agreed.
to want a salary cap and a salary floor. Well, this article in the Athletic, who Evan Drelich cited a source who said a reasonable goal from an ownership perspective is going to be 240 million at the top and 160 million at the bottom. Now, a lot of people listen to that, and in your first reaction when I told you this before the show was that cap's too small.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree. And here's why I disagree. Okay. And then I want to hear your retort to
I'll give
my
you 15 seconds.
I disagree with the cap, is because now the floor is raising. Now the players who are getting paid the way that they're getting paid now, the superstars getting their pay, they're still going to get their pay. They're still going to get their 40 to 50 million per year. But the guy at the bottom is now, instead of going to make, whatever, I think it's like 700,000 is the base salary right now, the minimum salary. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to be making like 2.4, 2.5
like
million
that.
per year, right? So the superstars are still going to get paid, but what it's going to do is it's going to force parity within the league. It's going to force parity because now all of a sudden the White Sox, who I'm sure you're going to love this part of it, instead of spending $80 million on their payroll this year, will have to spend $140 million on payroll. You're going to still have to, you're going to force some of these owners like the Reinsdorfs of the world, like the Nuttings of the world over in Pittsburgh, like Cincinnati, like Tampa Bay.
Pittsburgh is way worse than the White Sox have ever been.
Yo, no, I agree with you. But you're forcing these owners who notoriously don't spend on their teams and put the money back into their teams. You're going to force that. And then what that's going to do is now we have a $240 million cap. Now we can bring ticket prices down just a little bit, right? Like not they're not going to bring it down a ton because they're still making money, but you can bring it down just a little bit, right? And then not only that, but then when you take into account, you have the salary cap, you have the salary floor, you have all of this stuff, you're going to have players in the league that are going to be making a league minimum. You're going to have players in the league that are going to be making the league cap. There's going to be some sort of, like we see it in basketball now, right? Like we see the salary maximum or what do they call it? Max player contract, right? You're going to see all of that. But now you're going to see everybody making a combination of all of that money. You're going to force these owners to spend more money. You're going to force some of these teams like the LA Dodgers, instead of, being able to, I don't know if they're still going to allow this, but you're going to stop them from, because I think, what was the Dodgers cap? I think the Dodgers were at like $280 million this year, but they owe Shohei Ohtani $1 billion. Like there's, so I don't know if
it was over three, and now they're at
yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, but now you're going, what you allow the league to do, if they're smart. Baseball's not notoriously smart for marketing, but if they're smart, they can utilize this to bring the game back, because I think you probably are going to.
Dodgers were $354 million.
Okay,
which
is half of the Shohei Ohtani contract.
They're going to be over 400.
Yeah. So now you're going to have guys making $40-50 million a year. Still, you're still going to get that, but you're going to have other players that are going to be able to make more money. You've got your league minimums that are going to be able to make more money, and so I think that that's a win for baseball. I think players would be smart to do this. I still think we're going to miss a full season in 2027. I really do. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I think the players are going to be you're going to have a way to do this. And then what the owners like Nutting and like Reinsdorf, these guys who are going to oppose this, the way that you get people from going under the cap, same way like you have people that go over the cap now, they pay a luxury tax, right? I say if you're under the cap, if you're under the floor, if the White Sox, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cincinnati Reds, the Miami Marlins, if they don't spend enough, they lose their rev share for that season. And I guarantee you these owners are going to spend the money. They're going to hit the league minimum, and the game will be better for it. You will have superstars more spread out across the game of baseball. You will have teams that are more competitive, and I think that this would be good for baseball, but baseball's got to market it right, and they've already started going off of the damn edge already, because you can now, there's no blackout restrictions on the MLB package. $150 a year, no blackout restrictions. But caveat, they there had to be a caveat. You also have to have an ESPN subscription for $30 a month. So it's actually $510 a year. But there's no blackout restrictions. So it's stupid. I hate that they did that. But if you wanted no blackout restrictions, you knew you were going to have an entity come in and say, hey, we will pay for the package. But in order for them to get no blackout restrictions, they have to come to our product to watch it. That had to happen. You knew it was going to happen. I myself already have an ESPN Plus subscription. I myself already have an MLB At Bat subscription. So I hope that the two will be able to coincide without me having to pay the extra $150. But if not, as the baseball fan that I am, I can't say that I wouldn't pay the $150 on top of the $30 a month I already pay for ESPN, because I need to consume the product. I want to consume the product. And the thing for me, though, is if I don't need the blackout restrictions, which in Chicago, I don't need the blackout restrictions, I can still watch the Cubs and still watch the White Sox. But if I want to watch the Reds or the Dodgers or whatever, if I don't need ESPN Plus and I could still just go through MLB and just have my normal one without the blackout restrictions, then I'll continue to do that.
It's
But
for something that was free 10 years ago. We're paying $510 a year for.
it wasn't free. It wasn't free, though. I mean, you could still watch your local teams for free, but the MLB at Bat app wasn't free.
Well, yeah, I get that. But needing to have the ESPN. No, I don't get to watch every White Sox game. I have to have, the Apple TV app. I have to have, are games on Amazon yet? Wasn't there a game on Netflix? It's insane. I'll miss games.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't watch all the games. The amount of money, we talked about it on the show, the amount of money you have to watch every one of your baseball games, or soon to be every one of your football games, is insane. But that's beside the point. The players are never, ever, ever going to go for it. You are going against the strongest union in the history of sports, I hate to say the world again, but it is the world. There isn't, when you go to a football team, and you ask who their union representative. I mean, the union representative on the Bears was Robbie Gould. When you go to a baseball team, the union representative for the Sox was Frank Thomas for a couple of years. Bryce Harper is the union representative for the Phillies. They are not.
No, he was willing to fight Manfred.
Yeah, which I would have loved to have seen. They are not going to go for it. They know that their pay is going to go down. I understand you. I did not hear some of this stuff with the $2.4 million I think the players lower on the totem pole should get paid more. I think minor leaguers should get paid more. I think it would help the talent in the league. There's a lot of minor leaguers that quit that could be good baseball players one day, because it's such a hard sport.
I think that players then aren't thinking about it in the broad spectrum, because they're still going to make their money. It's just going to be more spread out throughout the league. Like Bryce Harper is still going to make $40 million a year, but instead of the Phillies being able to pay 3 Bryce Harpers, now the Phillies are paying Bryce Harper, while the Marlins are paying Kyle Schwarber, while the White Sox are paying the shortstop there that they have. Trey Turner.
You're actually lowering the market, though, because now there's less competition to raise the prices for 3 Bryce Harpers. Because if the Phillies can't compete anymore for a Bryce Harper, doesn't his pay come down then?
No, because what if you're still spending 240? I mean, this is $240 million a year. Right. I mean, none of these players make that money. They have those contracts, 240 for 3 years, whatever the case is. But that's even $80 million a year. There's still $160 more million to play with, right? Like, and nobody makes $80 million a year. But what I'm saying is, like, you've got guys who are making this yearly. What that does is that spreads it out over the course of time. And I wanted to, and I didn't get a chance to do this.
The top 5 teams would be over the salary cap. The top 5 payroll teams, the Blue Jays, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mets would all be over. Over. It'll be insane. How do you police that? How do you bring those down?
Same way, you still have the luxury tax, and there's going to have to be a grandfathered clause, right? Like, you can't just tell that, hey, Dodgers, you have to cut $150 million in payroll today, right? Like, it's going to have to be, hey, by 2030. This is when you have to be to $240 million because by 2030, you've got a lot of this money coming off the books, whatever the case is. You look at as a whole right now, I wish I could see what it was as the league. I wanted
and really, if you want to keep, you should keep the name of the White Sox out of your damn mouth. Because by then, the White Sox are going to be paying
under 160.
The White Sox payroll will be over 140 million.
Under $140 million a year right now, there are 10 teams under $140 million. The A's are at 131, the Brewers 129, the Pirates at 121, the Twins at 119, Cardinals at 118, Rockies at 105, White Sox at 105, Rays at 105, the Nationals at 102, the the Guardians, and the Marlins at 94 and 78. So that doesn't even include, like, the Reds aren't even in there. The Reds are over 140,000.
Million.
So you've only got 10 teams that are under that luxury tax, and you've only got let's say 1, 2, 3, 5 teams that are over. So it's not now all of a sudden. So what I'm saying is that in the end, right now, the total amount of payrolls, if you took it, because 10 teams are under that $140 million, there would be more money in the league.
Some way.
There would be more money in the league.
I just think players are going to think there's going to be less of a market for players because now the Dodgers can't bid for players. Now the Phillies can't bid for
no, but now the lower market teams can. Now their lower market teams can afford, because now they have to spend the money. So now if you look at right now, the Rockies right at $105 million. Now, hey, look, I can afford to pay Bryce. I can afford to pay Bryce Harper $40 million a year if I'm the Rockies, because now it puts me over the luxury, or it puts me below the minimum threshold. So now I'm giving you $140 million. Now I'm not even at the cap. I'm at the floor basically. And now I have a Bryce Harper on my roster.
I just think the more market, I just think agents are going to tell the players as well that it just lessens, that it does lessen the market.
But it doesn't though, because you still have the same. You still have the same amount of money. As a matter of fact, you've got more money.
There should have always been a bottom in this board. Teams like Pittsburgh, who almost never sign a multi-year deal, and like the old Oakland A's that never signed really players and never spent a lot of money. Oh, we don't have money. It's like whatever. I never believe a baseball team or a team that says they don't have money. I just never believe it. I don't care.
Yeah.
On this sports, all your teams have gone up thousands and thousands of percentiles.
Correct.
In the last 30, 40 years.
With all the dollars they have now in the local sports networks, with all the dollars that they have in all of the marketing, you've got patches on the uniforms now. Teams are making their money. Teams that say they don't have any money, GMs that say that they don't have any money are dumb, and they think you're dumb. Is what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to believe that they don't have the money, but they have the money, right? Same thing with like the NFL. It was $400 for a parking spot at the Super Bowl. $400 for a parking spot.
People just watching it in their car and hearing the rumble of the crowd. Like,
yes.
Who goes to these games? Is it all AI now that are in the crowd? Like, how do you spend the
network
money
executives
to go to this game?
These are network events that, and they get parking passes to go with them, a vast majority of them. But the ones that don't, I mean, you pull up to the game with a ticket that you just paid $4,000 for to go to the Super Bowl, and it's $400 to park. Are you not going to the game? No, you're going to pay the $400 to park. You have no choice.
Yeah, you've already been.
It's one of those things. Same thing when I go like Wrigley, right? Like I go to Wrigley. I like to drive down to Wrigley. I don't like to take. I mean, go the CTA nowadays, not exactly the safest place in the world to be. So I don't want to. I don't take the train down, but I went to opening day last year. It was $100 to park at Wrigley on opening day. I had no choice. I was there. I had no choice, So I mean, it's just those are the
lots
things
of corporate
that you're
tickets.
going to find.
Is there 80,000 corporate tickets at the Super Bowl? Am I missing something?
There's
here?
a lot. Yeah,
There's
a lot.
Who is the total fans watching football? Who's the total amount? 80 million, maybe 100 million. That means 1 out of 1,000 fans are going to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that's a third of the country.
I'm just saying, 1 out of 1,000 fans have money. I mean, I guess I could have the money. I could put together the money for that, but I would never spend it on the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. Maybe this entire show's theme, we've never had a theme for an entire show, but this entire show's theme is how money is being sucked out of the middle class in this country constantly. Like, in every direction you turn, food, cars, housing, Kelchi, poly markets. But watching a game that was basically free. Yeah, you had to pay cable, but cable was like $5 of your cable bill was going
Right.
towards your sporting event. Is now an insane amount of money. Like, you can't even watch all your games. Jeremiah's in the middle of central Indiana. Is Jeremiah going to be able to watch games?
Well, that's the thing. Like, when you have so people are looking at the money, it's $510 for a year if you're going to have ESPN Plus and the MLB Network app on top of it. But do you know, let me, off the top of your head, do you know what the cost is for NFL Sunday Ticket and Red Zone for a year?
No,
for a full season? $450. So it's $60 more, and you get 10 times the amount of games? More than that, because it's a 162 game season. So it's not as insane as a lot of people think that it is. But people are going to look at that. Oh, what's baseball doing now? They're getting in bed with ESPN. Well, look, you knew that if you were going to get blackout restrictions lifted, the amount of the subscription, which was $149 a year anyway, was going to go up, and you were going to have to pay an extra $25, $30 a month to not, or whatever it is, to not get the blackout restrictions. Or B, a third party was going to have to come in and sponsor it and pay for it. That third party happens to be ESPN, that has their own app that says, hey, we'll do this, no blackout restrictions. But in order to get it, yes, you have to pay for your subscription to MLB, but you also have to have your subscription to our product as well. You knew that had to happen. Does it suck? Yes, it sucks. Yeah. But I mean, what
How many subscriptions do you have to just live your life these days? It's insane. The Braves are publicly, Jeremiah, the Braves are a publicly shared company. I forgot that. They make a lot of money. And I wouldn't say the Braves do a great job of marketing their team. They are a bigger team, but I wouldn't put them in the top 5, possibly, in popularity in the league.
No, but they are in the top 8 in payroll.
Top 8, but and they're making that much money. I would say the Cubs are more popular than the Braves.
They are.
I would say that.
Yeah.
And the Cubs are always crying that they're losing money. And
well, I mean, we both know that's crap, though, too. Yeah. I mean, any owner, any GM, we talked about this already. Like, any owner that tells you they're losing money, they're lying to you, and they expect you to believe it. They're dumb.
Get Magnet TV, get a bootleg Superbox and watch all the games. Screw them. We follow the law here, and this is another point. Like, how do you not go into corruption?
But it's also good.
To pay this much money.
It's also good until they shut those down.
You have to spend like $2 or $3 grand a year to watch every sport.
Yeah.
Like, who had $200 a month?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Doubting Thomas. Cubs are the most popular team in the USA. Is that a thing? Like, did you look that up, or are you just saying that just to get under Fitz's skin?
I don't. I mean, it's obvious. It's the Dodgers or Dodgers, Yankees. I mean, Cubs,
I would
3.
Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs. I mean, those are the ones that
in there. They're in the mix. Yeah. I'm sure Cubs, after their World Series might have been but the Dodgers have like half of California. I mean, it's insane.
We're on Kalshi now. Fitch preaching about following the law in the 90s is plus 3,500. Cubs are the most popular team in the USA due to WGN.
Well, yeah. I mean, it did spread it around the country. WGN was very good to the Cubs in that way, and it was actually good that they did it. The Cubs did it out of desperation, because if you remember, a lot of people don't know this. The Cubs in the 70s weren't that popular. The Sox were actually the team everybody was watching. Yeah. Cubs did it out of desperation. They didn't make a lot of money being on WGN, but it spread themselves across the country. But the Dodgers are
there were 3 teams that were on super stations back in the 90s.
The numbers the Dodgers get from TV is ridiculous.
When cable first came out, the 3 teams that hopped on super stations were the Cubs with WGN, the Braves with TBS, and the Mets with WWOR. Those were the 3 super stations. You could watch all 3 of those teams in any market anywhere. I was watching Braves and Mets games when I was a kid because we could get them on cable. Like those were the things that you were able to see. Yeah, I think it helped all three of those teams tremendously with their marketing. But I still see I still think that the cap and the floor, if the players look at it smartly, it makes a ton of sense. And I
You
think
definitely made me at least read some articles about this until next week. You definitely interest me. Like I get your logic. It does track. The players are never going to go for it, and they're not going to play in 2020. We almost didn't have play in 2021, if people remember.
We're not getting play in 2027.
The season did not start until almost the second week of April in 2021.
And to be honest with you, if you get a cap and a floor, you might miss 2027 and half of 2028.
Gosh, don't say that. We literally lost half a season in 2020, or more than half a season in 2020. I literally wanted people to die in order to watch baseball.
I know.
I'll be the first. I wanted to.
I was watching.
And die of COVID. I don't care. That whole COVID thing was insane. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. I wanted people to die to play baseball.
Yeah, I was watching KBO. I was Korean baseball. It was that's how I needed it so much that I was watching that. I was actually betting KBO in 2020. It's
all right. I'll see you guys there.
What is wrong with you?
So it's
what
you know
wrong with you?
I needed my fix. I had to get baseball. Give me that baseball. And that's just it's what it is. I don't think that I think we're going to get a cap and a floor. I don't know what the numbers look like. I think by the end of the lockout and the end of the arguments over the CBA, you will have a cap and a floor. I think I'm almost positive we're going to miss a full season in 2027 regardless. I really do.
All right, more to come. Isn't porn free?
It is. Why would you ever subscribe? I don't understand. I don't understand. All right.
We're not a law against the law to watch streaming. I'm not downloading anything. I think that's true.
Well,
I think that's true.
If that's the case, then
two things I have to read now.
I think it's the way that it's being streamed that's illegal. It's not you that's illegal.
Wrigley used to be a bad neighbor too. That's actually true.
It's the way that it's streamed that is illegal. The express written consent, if you would, of the league has to be there. And I don't think you get express written consent on black boxes and illegal streaming. It's not, you're not doing anything against the law, but the streamers are. I don't know how I think at some point you get that regulated. I really do. I don't know that lasts forever. Those people with those boxes are happy now, but if they turn on their TV one day and they just get blank screens, might not be so happy. You know, so all right, man, you ready to get out of here?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. We will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Till then, tell your friends, tell your neighbors,
Well played, you son of a bitch.
Enemy. Talk to you later.